Welcome to another episode of the Josh Huisman Podcast, and I am thrilled to have a couple here in the church who've been a part of Crosswalk Church for several months now. Our worship leaders, Harry McCarthy and his wife Brittany, are here today, and we're going to spend this time talking about something God has put on their heart, which is basically to have a time of community for worship pastors, leaders, anybody in that space who wants to get together and form community centered around worship, what worship is and all that. But we're going to get into all of that fun stuff. But for now, welcome you guys. How are you doing?
Doing well. Thank you very much. Glad
to
be here.
How many podcasts have you been on?
This would be the first for me.
I've been on 2 different ones before. So
Okay.
One, I did my own first season.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It was called All Things Music. It doesn't exist anymore anywhere.
Okay.
But it was interesting. I had different interviews with different people in the community, and yeah, it just focused on music aspect and stuff.
So what I'm basically going to do then, Brittany, I'm just going to put my hands behind my head and just say, all right, y'all just talk. No, I won't do that to you. But how about we start here, and I'll go, Brittany, you first. So
Okay.
You've been here now in the Nashville area a second time. You all lived here years ago. You've now moved back. And what has it been like coming back to the Nashville area, being a part of church here, and maybe even go to what put this on your heart to work with your husband on this Worship Garden Collective?
That's a lot.
Yeah. And let me push this a little more towards you. So
Sure.
we can hear.
It's been awesome being back in the area. I feel like the first time we weren't here super long, but with my family being in the area, it's just been really nice. It feels in a way like returning home, even though we're still just exploring and getting to know everything. But that's been really great. And being here at the church has been really great as well. Just awesome getting to connect with people, and everybody's been really welcoming. So that's always nice, finding community that feels genuine. And then what was your last question again?
Well, so talking about the worship garden. Talking about the Worship Garden Collective, and I really just want to get a chance to really introduce you to everybody and what you guys do. And you're both supremely talented musically in what you're able to do with instruments and singing and sound therapy is something that you do as well. So that is obviously in the background, but it's a whole different calling to say we want to form community around that. Like we want to bring people together to learn more about worship and drawing closer to God in that. So I don't I can put you on the spot with that, or Harry, both of you all can speak to it, but maybe a little bit more about just who you are and how God brought you to this time to do the Worship Garden Collective.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I could just say for me specifically, the season I'm in, you see me with the kids all the time, being in a season where music was maybe not the forefront of how I was joining in with leading worship, which might sound kind of weird, but to be sort of like a benched worship leader in a sense, and supporting what he's doing with leading the teams. The last several years have just been a unique perspective from my seat of really just observing teams that we've been a part of and able to pour into, and then also showing up with the hospitality side and maybe a little bit of critique, more so behind the scenes, just giving him feedback and maybe things that could be developed a little bit more, but really also just seeing his heart for how he's led teams that we've gotten to be a part of. I feel like that, just seeing the heart behind it, because you can have amazing musicians. We've gotten to be a part of really cool opportunities where you've got paid musicians. All of them are excellent and, have toured and done all the cool things. But then there's also the worship team members who are maybe kind of just starting out, and maybe they need a little bit more development before you just give a full yes to, you can be a part of this service and lead worship with us. And so just having like an understanding of what is it that needs to happen in order to bring everyone together and have the right heart, first off, but then also to just continue growing musically.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get to this later on in the show, because I think you shared something in there that maybe made me think that's a real untapped ministry opportunity, is the benched worship leader. Yeah. What a good term, right? Like how many do we know, like what you're talking about, not to tell you your story, you're raising 3 young children. Mm-hmm. You have a lot going on behind the scenes. And then with your husband being on staff at a church full time where he's leading and he has his responsibilities, but you have those giftings as well. And it's very difficult to find the place where both can serve then in that capacity.
Right.
And
I think also just, it's been a big journey that I feel like I'm still on in certain ways. Life is a journey, but just figuring out, okay, how do I still stay true to what my calling is and identity in God and not putting the identity in what the season looks like. And I've had some really great friends who are like me, moms who have also been worship leaders and gone through seasons like that. And that's been really helpful to be able to have other people to just talk to and like, hey, this is what I'm feeling and experiencing. What do I do?
Yeah.
And just that reminder that like our kids are our first ministry, and it's so easy to say that. And I would kind of get a little almost like mad when people would say that to me, as they meant it as like an encouragement and a reminder. But sometimes when you're in that season of feeling like you're not fully living every part of who you are, it can be really tough to hear that. So
really tough. Like I, so much so that I don't even want to gloss over. I mean, we're going to talk about Worship Garden Collective, but like you said that, I was like, oh my goodness, Brittany, that is such a ministry, because there are so many people who the Lord has gifted in those areas. And then, I mean, you said it, you get like
it just feels like you're benched,
for whatever
like you're watching
reason
from the sidelines and wanting to engage in the ways that maybe you're used to or that you got to do in previous seasons, but it just looks different. And that can be really hard. So that is something that I personally feel like really passionate about, just being there for other people. And I think
you've done so well with it too. And also like watching
my low
her,
moments, but
it actually encouraged me, because I had a season where I lost my voice completely. And she'll correct me on how long it was.
Pastor numbers.
I know. It was about 2 months, though, in total, where I thought I may never sing again. And I had, to be honest, was a little prideful about my voice and about the talent that God has given me, and thought like, man, I got something great that the world's got to hear, and all these things, And when I lost it, it was a huge moment of humility. And then also, at the time, our drummer that was on the team, our main drummer at least, he got sick and needed to step away for a time. So I had to fill in and play drums for a season. So being behind a drum set instead of on the front of the platform, leading from a guitar or just leading without an instrument, it started to give me a whole nother perspective. And then I had to learn how to lead people who were all capable. Like there was confident people on my team at the time who could hold the weight, but I had never just given them full trust to do it. And that exposed a lot to me about my own leadership, exposed to me about some loopholes in my perspective about what true leadership is. And it's not the way that the world paints it. It's actually stewardship. It never belongs to us in the first place. It's always the Lord's. And what we do with it is to honor him with it. So the people that we've been entrusted, the different gifts that we've been entrusted, we're supposed to steward it, not be possessive over it. So
and that was definitely a spiritual experience, losing your voice and like having that physical thing going on. But every physical thing we experience, I believe, ties back to a spiritual lesson that we need to learn. And that was a really good one, because I remember, just like the ego struggle and kind of being in that with you. And I think I remember saying, well, now you know what it's been like for me, sitting on the sidelines, maybe not able to sing or not able to like participate in the way that you were used to, but still like having the heart to show up and to be there and to like coordinate it all. So it was really just a cool experience kind of to go through.
Right. And so, Harry, you come to us you moved here from South Carolina. You're leading worship at one of the Seacoast Church campuses. And we're there for like 4 or 5 years.
4 years,
4 or 5 years, and then have come over here. And tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get involved in leading worship and what you do?
All right, so I'll try to make it brief, but So I never wanted to be a worship leader or like a worship pastor or anything like that. I was in a band that was, we did original worship songs and stuff like that. We wrote and toured. I loved doing that, and I wanted to keep doing that. Our band that I was a part of is called Lady at the Well. There might be some stuff out there. This was pre like Spotify boom and like all this stuff. So, and I don't know if
that was when we first met. He was in Lady at the Well.
But let me think for a second. So what happened was our drummer, good friend of mine, his name is Joel Maylett. Him and his wife Brittany Maylett actually started their own church in Florida now, and they're doing great from what I can tell. Love them so much. But he ended up getting Hodgkin's lymphoma, and in that season, it's just literally a Job story. Like, all of his mother passed away, they got in a major car wreck, they lost a baby, like all these different things all at once within a short time frame. It kind of put the band at halt. And we were doing great. We were like playing, big shows, and we were like getting, going somewhere. We had a manager and all those things.
This is going to happen.
Right.
Right.
And we had released an album, and there was good traction.
Had different plans.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so just to give you a little context, so that's the back end story. That's what I wanted to do. All that stuff's happening. I'm teaching full time, which is where I met my wife. We used to teach at the same music lesson studio called Music Matters down in Newport Richey, Florida, and great memories there. But so I'm teaching full time. I'm touring and doing mini touring, not like massive stuff, but we're starting to get traction to that point, and or at least it felt like it, and that's what I want to do. My friend calls me from this little church called Lakeview Community Church, and he's like, "Hey, he got a deal with Capitol Records, was moving to Nashville, and or I believe Capitol.
I don't remember.
I don't remember full details, but I remember he got a deal and he was moving to Nashville to pursue music full time. And he's like, "Hey, I think you'd be a great fit for this position." I was like, "You called the wrong cat. I'm sorry, I'm not interested. Like, I know what this takes. I like
6 months or more of him like inviting you to come and just consider it." And I remember, I think at first when that conversation started, I don't think we were together at the time.
No, not yet.
And I just remember thinking, like, why? Like, why not just go? Like, go check out the church and the community. And then you started going and checking it out and getting to know the people.
Yeah. But it took a lot of fighting. And then it was just one of those moments where once I met the pastor, like, he introduced himself to me. And, well, first off, Ben, his name is Ben, he begged me to come and play guitar for them one weekend. And I was like, this is not... So you're just trying to low-key get me to come. Anyway.
But yeah, so you...
But I got... his name's Pastor
connected
Peyton.
with all of them. And I just remember, I think that was like right before we got back together. And I just remember you talking about the people. And I think probably, I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't speak for other people. But I feel like when you're called to something, you may fight it, but you can't fight it when it's meant to be. And it reached the point where he's like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be there now. And that was super cool to just kind of see that transition of the fight against what God was calling you to do, because I could see that even. And then being in it and then getting to know the people. And then when we got back together, because we were together for a little bit and then broke up and then got back together, then I started attending too. And it was just really cool. Like, each church has their own just community, obviously, and culture, and getting to know the team and the people and who you're serving. It's just a really sweet group of people.
Yeah.
Quickly felt like family. And I think that's what, like, we're in that journey of me to, just humble myself and stop being prideful and thinking I know what I want to do instead of just being open to what God is calling me to do. I think that was like the beginning of like my real observance of shedding some of the culture and ideologies that come with being a musician. Like, everyone wants the big stage, everyone wants to be a rock star or whatever, I'm going to play in a stadium full of thousands of people, and that's cool. It's great. And there's people who are meant for that. But there's also nothing wrong or anything greater or lesser than being involved with a local community so intimately that you know them like family, or even more so sometimes more than your family. And I don't know, I think that was like the beginning phases of that, and then God revealing that to us, but because that's where we got married, but also revealing to me specifically like the beauty of like local community, the beauty and to be honest, like played in front of thousands of people at shows before, and there's a cool energy that happens from that, but I don't know any of those people. I don't have a relationship with any of those people besides that one day. You know, there's not, I don't know their families. I don't know their stories. I don't know them like I do the teams that I've been able to serve. Like there's a total different experience.
Yeah.
So,
well, let's talk a little bit about what you're going to be doing here at the church, but it's also something that's available to the community, and it's called Worship Garden Collective. In fact, you have a website for it, worshipgardencollective.com, that explains what it is. But it's going to what you're talking about as far as building community, because, you know, just to throw this out there, and this is sarcastic when I say this, because isn't worship leading really? I mean, just pick a song and play it with your instrument and sing it. I mean, how hard is it, guys? You know, what?
I mean, in a nutshell, like, yeah, that's kind of basically what it is. But I'm sure we all have different experiences of being maybe at a church or a worship experience where someone hits a wrong note. And it can be a little jarring, like when you're just focused on being in the presence of God, and maybe you're in like this meditative state where you're praying and you're focused, and then all of a sudden you hear something that's like, oh, that just kind of brought me out of that. So like, yes, it is simple. Like you're playing a song, singing a song, and the heart is to just worship. But can we do that with excellence so that it creates a really great experience for everyone, where we can feel like we're really in that place, to put aside all the other things that are going through our minds. And it kind of ties in a little bit to like my background with sound therapy because music activates every part of your brain. But if there's parts of, you know, a song or instruments or things that it just is off, then you can't really ever get there. Or it's a lot harder. You have to fight harder to reach that place of just being.
Isn't it funny how even those who would say they have no musical ability can pick up on when music is off?
Yeah.
Right? When something sounds off. So that goes to what you're saying about the brain and everything.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, you know, with the Worship Garden Collective, just if you could speak to the community aspect of it, because it is so much more worship leading and being a part of a worship team. Of course, you get to use your gifts with instrument and singing or production and tech, whatever. I mean, however you're involved in worship, you get to use those gifts. But if those gifts are kind of me-centered as opposed to how you're focusing on the Lord through what you're doing.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, you kind of hinted at that for your past. And I mean, there's been moments even for me where I can look back and I can see like the way that I carried myself, or the way that you were, like, we were self-focused in moments where you're just thinking about how do I look, or how do I sound? And
even with the best intentions.
Yeah,
too.
even
like,
with the best intentions.
You want to honor the Lord and bring your best, but there are times where we get so caught up in
the details of it all. Yeah. And so being able to like practice and be able to develop the capacity to just be in the presence, but the community aspect really, you know, there's times where like you may have professionals who just pop in, and it's like, you know, the green room experience where everybody's just kind of hiding away and not really engaging. And I think there's sometimes reasons for that. Like maybe you just want to be present with the Lord first instead of being focused on the other people you're around. And that's fine. But developing community where you're not just only showing up to play a song with a team, but really just being. And that's something that, I mean, because we've been a part of different teams, have friends who either lead worship at different churches or are pastors at different churches and stuff. And so I feel like we've gotten to see a lot of communities and ways of leading. And something that I think has been really neat for me to see you grow in is starting every practice with a devotional and prayer. And I don't know if that's something that most worship leaders do or not, but it wasn't something necessarily that I always experienced joining other teams. But that's like a core thing that when we've joined somewhere new, like even coming here to Crosswalk, you know, the first little bit is just kind of getting to know everything that already exists, but then being able to start adding in those elements of, hey, we're gonna have this be the focus, not just let's do a sound check and then jump right in. And
well,
I think, sorry, you go ahead.
Well, what I was gonna say though, like something that I think like for the essence of why we want to do this, and to answer that even further, like community that is intentional and community that is aware of why it exists can be far more effective for actually being present with the Lord. Like you mentioned, a lot of people, sometimes there's this disillusion where we think that we just come sing songs, or even like as a congregant, you sit out there, all right, just singing the song part, or just going through the motions. There's like this frame for order and tradition. Not that it's bad, but there's this disconnect from the true purpose of why that framework exists. And the way I like to view it is like, you know Jesus is coming over to dinner at your house. You're going to spend every hour of that waking day making sure it is prepared. You got the meal ready. You got the nice music on. You got the fire going, or whatever you want it to be the best that it can be. So that way when he shows up at your door and comes in, you're ready to just be present with him and not focused on all those other things. And I think part of like the whole idea behind Worship Garden Collective is to help everyone develop an understanding of what all is required to make the house ready, and then also on how to be present. So it's in community, it's especially as worship teams, you know, it's not just one group of, it's not one person, it's a group of people collectively coming together. So one huge emphasis that we will be focusing in on together is unity and building trust and communications and like being prepared individually, so that way when you knowing your role, knowing how to, like there will be a week on spontaneous and prophetic flow. So like learning how to trust, you know, how to listen to the Lord, but also how to trust each other and like follow those moments together and give space for one another to help create an atmosphere where the Lord can come and do what he wants to do. Because it's not about us. It's not about us sounding pretty or doing, you know, incredible, awesome things with our talents. It's about being present with the Lord and glorifying him. Even though
we do also want to grow in those ways too. Like there's things that I've kind of been pinpointing for myself, even of like, this is an area that I want to grow personally, like when it comes to musicianship, because none of us have fully arrived. You know, there's things that we can develop and just grow in. And so being able to recognize that in yourself for the purpose of what he's described. And something that just came to my mind too, which I feel like kind of ties back to our first conversation, is thinking of Mary and Martha, you know, and the story of how one of them was sitting at his feet and the other was bustling around doing all the things. And I feel like there's times where anyone really, but myself in my current season of, you know, it feels like I'm always the one that's bustling around doing the things so that everyone else can sit at the feet. And making it possible, you know, especially when you have little kids, like, and just trying to teach them how to be present in worship too, but also recognizing they have different needs than adults do. So like there's that combination of doing the preparation, but also being able to build a team to where like everyone has the opportunity to sit at the feet and worship. But also how do we share the load of preparing the house and doing all the things that are needed, because it's a combination of both. And I think what part of why we wanted to go ahead and put it out there as like something that's open to the whole community, not just like a connect group, even though that is like our core, what birthed this really is like thinking of how can we be here for this team that's here currently. Why we wanted to make it open to just anyone in the area is because all of the churches around here, all of the different people at different churches, pastors, musicians, everybody has the same purpose. Like we're all gathering in different places for the same purpose. So how can we just come together to be more unified in that?
So to drill down on that a little bit more, when you said about preparing the house, and I'll ask you this question, but I want to share a little bit before we jump into it.
Sure.
Do you think worship teams in general truly understand the biblical role that they play for a worship service? I had a guy come to me one time who's not on a worship team. And he said, man, he goes, I just can't get into the church. He's like, I like to come in 15, 20 minutes late, miss the worship time. I just don't understand why it's 3 songs, message, and whatever. And then it's, okay. It's kind of like flippantly casting it off. Mm-hmm. And I would ask someone who maybe takes that opinion or who misses the worship time and say, when's the last time you've read your Bible? Because if you just go into the Old Testament, for example, all throughout the Old Testament, the worship team and the praise and all of that went before the armies. Whenever time with the Lord would be spent, I mean, just go through the Psalms. And even if you get a Bible commentary, read through the Psalms and then go read in your study guide, and it'll say, these songs were sung before gatherings of worship for the Lord at the temple or the tabernacle or whatever it may be, and the worship that went first. And how, when you said preparing the house for worship, and someone says, I don't understand why we do it, or I'm going to miss the worship time. Like, that worship time is a time of adoration and thankfulness, vertical to the Lord, but then also like the horizontal that takes, I mean, there's so many aspects of it. And when you deliberately miss that, it almost, I'll just get harsh, it almost feels like a thumbing of your nose at the Lord. That's me. That's not Harry and Brittany saying that.
I mean, I can relate. There's been times where we've intentionally showed up late, even ourselves, to a service because we're like, oh, like that's maybe a struggle, or, and I think that kind of comes into, you can have different things operating. Like, in a sense, that could be a critical spirit operating, where we're criticizing the way that worship is being done at a certain place or in a certain community. And then I think what you're getting at too is also sometimes there's kind of a heart issue going on. And
like an apathy.
Even if you're not like open to singing or raising your hands or whatever, participating that way, why not just show up and open up your Bible and sit and read for the 20 minutes that, worship is happening, Even
if you don't connect, it doesn't mean, like, if you may not connect with the modality that's being presented, but that doesn't mean that you can't not connect through one that does for you. Because not everyone, like, for example, I think if somebody who may be completely deaf, they're not going to understand. Or,
somewhat.
I mean, I don't know that perspective, but...
Well, let's think of the scripture that says, it escapes me exactly where it is. He inhabits the praises of his people.
Yeah.
Like, you just heard me say that, but now really dwell on that thought. He inhabits the praises of his people.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's powerful. Like, I want to be in that space. Like even if I don't know the song, like there are times when people, well, we did a song we don't know today, whatever, maybe whenever we have a song that I don't know, then I just even more dig in and focus on what is being sung in that moment.
Yeah.
And there's not every time, even for me, where I can be an observer sometime in worship and absorb. And I think that's okay. Like if you see these words and just go, okay, maybe I need to just really process what's being sung and shared.
That was something
right
I was
now.
thinking about too, is if you think about the lyrics to the songs that you're singing, my praise is the shout that brings Jericho, the walls of Jericho down, And I think if we can focus more on the lyrics of what's being sung and you're speaking that over your life, what are the walls in your life that need to come down? Because sometimes there's a lot that people are carrying. And if you can focus on truly giving that to God and saying like, I'm going to praise you anyway, whether that's with your arms raised up high or whether you get on your knees, that's what God wants. And every time, which maybe we need to start doing this more. But every time that we've gone through something difficult in our life, I feel like sometimes we reflect and we realize, oh, wait, are we really in the Word together as a family? Are we really praising in our own home? Because even though, being a worship pastor, worship leader, doing that in front of a congregation, what does our home rhythm look like? Are we doing that every day as a family? And in the hard times when maybe we've been off with that, the minute that we start actually praising, like literally just focusing at one part, if it's the first part of the day or the end of the day, whatever, time that works for us to just sing a song and focus on God, anytime that we've done that, we've noticed that after about a week of doing that consistently, there's some major breakthrough in our personal life, whatever the hardship is that we've been dealing with, where like God brings those walls down. And I think that ties into what you're saying in the Old Testament, how they went before the people. Like that was the first thing. And then another thing I thought was share about David and what he instituted.
All right. So remember in Scripture where David, they get the ark and they're bringing it back and he's dancing in front of everyone.
Right.
It never says that he's totally naked, by the way. He's wearing the undergarments of a priest. He's wearing I forget how to say this, ephod?
Ephod.
Yeah, the ephod.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What he's symbolizing, first off, in that is that he's not worthy to be considered the one, like to be the one worshipped or anything like that, or to be the priest. But he's saying that what I'm bringing in, I'm going to worship him with the best that I can, essentially. And then in that time, in that season where the ark is returned back to Israel, there is war surrounding them.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you think all the elders are probably like, we need to have our defenses up. We need to talk about budget. We need to provide our finances to supplying defense, right? Or war, mechanisms, whatever. David takes the ark, puts it in the center of the city, builds a tabernacle around it, and spends all their money on, or issues, has all their money go to having priests and worship leaders, literally having access to the Ark of the Covenant 24/7 and just constant worship in the city. And then if you read Scripture, it says that they are blessed by that, that they thrive from that moment. And just to be clear for a second, sometimes we have obstacles that come in our way. We have different life things, events that happen to us, like maybe tragedy or whatever. You don't praise God or like take in faith as a passive substitute of avoidance of those things. You take it in there with you so that way you can properly go to battle. And then you can properly operate through healing too, or through whatever you need in those moments. God will provide. That doesn't mean the problem just goes away. It means he gives you what you need, your strength. He is our strength, right? And but yeah, so worship though, think about that. If we were to approach that as a church, like forget about song itself specifically, but if we all had a posture of getting outside of the performance of church, if we got outside of the flashy events or the branding or all those things, which all are great and they matter.
Which you enjoy.
Which I enjoy it, I do, because I want excellence. I want the best that I can bring to the Lord. But we can get so quickly distracted by those things and make idols out of them. And even worship, like the different forms of approaches. Like you have people who are completely spontaneous flow. Like they don't have a set plan, they just show up and they're going. Which I tip my hat, that's very impressive to be that obedient. And then also at the same time, you have people who are so prepared where it's to the second, and if they go overtime, there's a conversation about it.
Yeah.
And there's also, spaces in between where it's a balance of all those things. Not one way is better or more important than another, or one way is superior to another. All of them.
But having unity in that.
Having unity in all of that, but also just recognizing, like, if your frame is more important than why it exists, like if it's more important than your actual adoration and love for the Lord and worship of the Lord, then it's useless. It's a golden calf. It's something that you should burn and get rid of. Or at least in a season, maybe.
Yeah.
Or check your heart.
How to lay it down,
Yeah. Well, I like that you shared that story about David and dancing into the streets and stuff. One of the things that comes to mind in that story is, how his wife criticized him over that.
Yeah.
In fact, her name, Michal, however you want to pronounce it, but it was Saul's daughter that he was married to. And she essentially, this is a paraphrase by me, by the way, she essentially tells him, like, you're out here dancing like a fool. You're an embarrassment. Right?
Yeah. I don't think I've ever said that to you.
No. And she doesn't say those words specifically, but she kind of does. But David's response in that is, his focus was just so completely on the Lord, and he was so devoted to the Lord. He's like, why would you look at it?
Yeah.
So anyway, I had written in my study guide at one time, is any true heartfelt worship, even in how you're singing, praising, teaching, preaching, anything involved with heartfelt worship, no matter what, will have critics.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so if you're not fully devoted in worship on the Lord and focused on him completely, you still will have critics, but you will take that criticism much more.
Yes.
It would be way more personal.
Way
Taking
more
it
personal
personally.
because you're worried about yourself. Your focus is on yourself and it's not on the Lord and where it should be, you know? And I think in Worship Garden Collective, what you guys are talking about, and in the weeks, it's 11 weeks that you guys are going to be getting together and teaching through things.
Yeah.
It's just a great time to bring that focus on. Here's why we gather. Here's what we do. Yes, it's a part of the worship service, but it has meaning behind it. And here is the meaning behind it.
Yeah.
And the more you can build teamwork out of that, the better, right?
Yeah.
And where the focus should be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
And
just like the framework,
Oh, that's okay.
the framework of like how each week will be structured will be, first we get in the Word together and we'll have a time where we are equipping people with the biblical basis for why we're doing the musical application, which is the second part. So like the first week we're talking about, to be honest, we're just clarifying what worship is, and then
And the vision and the heart.
Yeah, not what misconceptions are oftentimes. Like we've shared some so far, but each week will be like that. It'll be,
And then the musical
focus.
application for the first week, really just focusing on rhythm, because that's kind of a core element of
and as a
coming
community
together,
too,
you know.
and like being in sync, and just different things throughout each week where it'll be group focused. And then there's also weeks where it's individually based on what instrument you play. Like there'll be breakouts for all those different, directions. But there's also going to be, it's all going to lead up to a point where people are going to, we might, depending on how many people are here, we might have to break into separate teams. And the goal is to have a worship night, like to plan on how to like apply all the things that we've learned and develop through, and whoever wants to participate in that. There may be people who just attend who just want to know more, and that's fine. But anybody who would like to participate, that's the end goal, is to do it together in that atmosphere.
And just have a time of worship.
Yeah. And one of the things that's really cool about this is not just something for Crosswalk Church and the worship team and pastors and members of this church.
Right.
You all really want this to be for maybe other churches will come and be involved.
We've had friends, local or not local, who have said like, hey, I just feel like we could use a little feedback for our worship team or like what we're experiencing and how can we make it more, like you mentioned, maybe it's really great vertical worship or really great horizontal, but how can we have a combination of both to where it's inviting to the people in the room to really participate and have that. And so
I guess something to say about that.
so being able to just share that and just create an opportunity really for development and the heart and all the things. So I don't want to step over what you want to say.
I'm just like,
What do you got? I know you're like about to jump out of your skin over here.
all right, so something about all this. One, let's go back a hair. And let's go to Mary and Martha. Side note, what does Jesus rebuke in Martha? It's not what she was doing. It was her attitude and how she was doing it.
Yeah.
So one, always come prepared. There's nothing wrong with, working for the Lord. There's nothing wrong with bringing your best. So just a side note with that does connect to this too. Oftentimes, I think, especially you mentioned like good vertical worship and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes as worship leaders, we so forget that moment when we're leading a congregation into the throne room, into the presence of the Lord to be with him, it's not our separate individual time to behold him. And that's during the week. When you're there, you're stepping aside and letting him shine. When you're during the week, when it's individual worship, that's when you're beholding him and you're like at his feet. I like to visualize it as like Jesus is walking on a path, and I'm either going to stand in his way and I'm going to just, oh, you're so beautiful, you're wonderful. And as all of that is true, and he'll probably sit there and let us, right? But there's a whole crowd of people that need that too. They need him. And I'm sitting here blocking the way. Instead, what we're supposed to do as leaders, as
anyone
stewards,
on the stage.
as stewards, and that's anyone on the platform. It's not just the vocalist. It's not just the person who's planted in the seat of authority. It's all of us collectively together are supposed to be doing this. But
and opening up the way.
We're supposed to be walking
people to
with
get to him
and being like, look who's here.
Right.
Pretty much like, oh my gosh, he's here. Let's pay attention. Let's glorify him. Let's talk about him. Let's love on him. Like those types of things. And I just thought that was really important to mention because I feel like a lot of people, I know who you're thinking in mind. And I or at least I feel like you do. With good vertical worship, like I'm thinking of some friends of ours too, and they do that well. Like they really exalt him and all that kind of stuff, but it feels like they miss the room.
Yeah.
Like there's such a disconnect. Like there's certain people who are right there with him, and you can't carry everyone, and you're not also meant to be like emotionally monitoring people or anything like that, or spiritually monitoring people. That's not our place. That's the Lord's. But there is also like, if the majority of your room is not with you,
pay attention.
You're leaving people behind.
Yeah.
But why? You might have the most pure intention, and it may be you're beholding the Lord, but
bring people there with you.
You're forgetting to let him just do his job, to let
and
him
then
do the work.
On the flip side of that too, there's also the, I guess, performance-based, if you want to call it that, approach where like maybe people are really great with stage presence and like engaging the crowd, but it almost feels like, okay, why are you doing this? Are you bringing the attention to yourself? Or like, is this about you drawing attention to yourself and how great you are up on the stage? Or is it with the intention of going vertical? So it's just like this balance of both. And I think the more we invite ourselves to be a part of community with it, community is where you have relational accountability. And you can't have relational accountability if you haven't spent time with people and make yourself vulnerable to receive feedback and also give feedback. And I think that's why also I feel like the timing of when we're doing this is really great for the team here, because we've been here a while. There's been relationship established. And so we can all come together in community and give each other feedback and grow together. And this ties back to just why we even called it Worship Garden, because his perspective and our perspective is like, we're all plants growing, if you want to call it that, flowers, weeds, whatever. Hopefully not a weed, but we're all in a garden together and we're all growing together. And hopefully the heart of a worship leader or someone who's in like that position of authority, hopefully it's to help cultivate what's already there. Yeah. It's not about necessarily transplanting, oh, well, we're not a great garden, so we need to just bring something else in. Right. No, like let's cultivate what's here and become better and better in all the ways.
Tree, a lemon tree, or try to change it to be against its nature.
Well, in a worship setting, what you all are talking about, I think the same applies for preaching and teaching. We talked about this last week when you went and gave a message at Mercy Collective, and I talked to you about even a little bit my process. But I think in worship, music, and in preaching, the same things should apply, which is what you bring forth on a Sunday morning or Saturday, whenever that worship time is taking place, should not be that you're just enough prepared to be able to lead it well enough. But it should be that process. I can't remember to steal your words throughout the week, just of being in the presence of the Lord, so much to the point that you have, if it's preaching, you have read it in the first setting, absorbed it in the second setting, applied it in the third setting, went back and studied it even more in the fifth setting. and you're 10, 11 steps down the road, so where it's God's word is so much a part of you that what you're presenting on that time when you're preaching it is the overflow of your experience with God throughout the week leading up to it. Taste and see that the Lord is good is experiential. Taste and see. So like when you said, here he is, you're presenting because you've experienced the whole time with him, and now when you sing that song or when you're preaching that message, it's not coming from a place of anything else than just this is the experience I've had with the Lord this week, and let me share out of the overflow of it. Yeah. Would you agree on that?
Yeah.
Like how
and as an encouragement too, like I think, thank you for your input. And when I asked for advice on like, well, how would you prepare this message or whatever, and your advice like I was like, why did I not just...
I think sometimes hearing it from someone else is kind of what you need.
But in that, though, it made me realize, like, I think all of us should be preparing in that way every time. Like, when I preached from the book of Colossians. I read through historical commentary. I read through all of it. Like, understood that scripture way more than
we debated about it.
Yeah,
we had conversation.
Like way more than I have in other passages of scripture when I'm just reading on my own. So much more was, I mean, for lack of better words, enlightened. Like I saw more of God through it, through the pages, through the words, understood it better, and what it meant for my own life, but also for why I was meant to preach that message. If we all took, I just want to encourage like every worship pastor, every worship leader, every pastor in general, but just anybody in ministry or any believer to take the time and do that and really like stew and like chew on the word, because like and I just think the power that can come from that is
to live with it, like to truly live with it, and that's one thing I would say since you're speaking to worship leaders, singers, whatever it may be. And there have been times when I've been guilty of this. I have a music background myself. But I think we can fall into this trap, like where we're given a song that we're supposed to sing and to lead. And there have been times, I don't want to be critical, but there have been times when someone may lead a song and you can look at them and say, I don't believe you.
Yep.
Right. You don't know what the lyrics mean.
You don't know what you're singing right now.
Yeah.
And I've been in that spot. So I'm not picking on anybody else.
We all have moments.
We all have those moments, right? And where you learn the song just well enough to be able to present it and fake it. We all know we're all good enough to do smoke and mirrors, okay? Right? And so, but that's not living with it.
No.
That's not letting it like seep into who you are. Like, and then when someone hears you or watches you lead that, they go, oh my goodness, I have a good story, but you go ahead, Brittany.
Oh, I was just going to say, I feel like because my time has been directed to different things in this season, sometimes I maybe have relied too much on the previous skill that was developed when I was like studying music and developing, playing by ear and like all these things, to where there's been times where, I've just showed up to rehearsal and it's like, no, I really haven't listened to that song, but I can wing it because I have enough skill. However, then I'm not able to like fully enter into the presence as much. And the more I've gotten involved here, because I'm honestly just in this season of like wanting to reclaiming the time of worship, it does require me sitting at home with the kids running around and interrupting me all the time. Like, I don't know when I can play through a full song, but like being able to be interrupted. Can I maintain the heart of worship when I'm sitting at the piano at home trying to sing a song and my kids need something?
Yeah.
Because Jesus was interruptible. And if I'm pausing and I'm then yelling at them, then I've lost the heart of why I'm sitting down in the first place. Yeah. And it's been really encouraging to me to just have other women in my life that I see. They're a mom, they've got kids, maybe they're homeschooling or whatever their situation is, and they're able to worship. So how do you develop that? And it's through taking the time on your own, whatever the season looks like for you, to push through and still worship regardless of what's going on around you.
Yeah.
And most of the time for me right now, it does look like where one of the kids is sitting on my lap or playing with me or something, and that's fine. But seeing the shift just for myself of like, I'm able to maintain the heart of worship and why I'm doing this in the first place. And I think that also ties into something I wanted to say, because we haven't mentioned this yet, but I'm excited about this part with the Worship Garden. Is part of what we want to come out of this 11-week session. By the end of it, we'll have finished basically just a simple like Bible study and guide, so to speak, for other churches or groups to be able to then use. Because, we have had the opportunity to be a part of different teams at times, and that's great. But how to have like just something super simple that other teams could do as a group, maybe the first part of your rehearsal. Because a lot of places you have the weekly rehearsal, so you have the time that you're setting aside to be together. So why not just add in this extra little layer of, hey, we're going to dive into the vision and heart of worship, or we're going to just do some rhythm exercises, or we're going to talk about groove and pocket and how to be tighter, or the role you play. I know we mentioned all that, but through this semester, whatever you want to call it, that we're coming into, we're going to be refining what he's already been writing and putting together, where there's all the scriptures and Bible study laid out, but then also just questions for self-reflection and reflection as a team to be able to come together and develop those things. And I'm excited that we're doing it here, but to just like make that available for other people if you just want something simple to be able to share
and
with
the true
your
heart
group,
of this, of what it sounds like, because we only have a couple minutes left, is that this is not just a one-time thing of an 11-week deal that you guys are doing.
We want to do it ongoing.
Yeah, Worship Garden Collective is an ongoing thing that you want to not only help our worship that takes place here at this church, but other communities, other pastors, leaders, whoever that might be feeling disjointed, unprepared, or just need a community structure, accountability, all that. Like I'm a part of a senior pastor group that meets every single month, and I know since Harry's been here, you desire to be with others, but we just lost the camera. So it overheated, but
bummer.
We lost me. But keep talking because we don't need to see me anyway. That's all good. Okay, but let's just wrap this up and just say, so it's worshipgardencollective.com, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And when people go there, can they sign up for the site there?
They can sign up.
Yep. I mean, for the class itself there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. We have a job form thing that you can fill out and.
Just RSVP to join us on Wednesday nights.
And when does it start?
6:30 next Wednesday, September 10th.
So it would actually be this coming Wednesday. So if this comes out on Monday, on September 8th, then September 10th.
September 10th, Wednesdays at 6:30.
Okay.
And if you have kids and you want them to join with Crosswalk Kids, there's a place for them. So that's not an excuse. And our kids will be there. That'll be really great for them. Yeah. But we'll be just meeting in the sanctuary here and joining together. And then throughout the time, once we finish the study guide and stuff, we'll make that available on the website too for whoever is interested in that.
Okay. So worshipgardencollective.com. Give me a final thought, Harry. I'll turn my camera on and do an outro. Okay. So give me a final thought.
All right. Worship is not a performance. It's about being present with the Lord. Yeah. That's the essence of all of it and the whole reason why we created this direction and, for lack of better words, development track.
All right. So thank you so much to Harry and Brittany McCarthy for coming on here and being a part of the show. I'm out of focus, but it's better than not having the camera at all. So it's been great to have you guys here at the church and what you've been doing over the past several months. And I'm looking forward to all these great things you're going to keep doing in this Worship Garden Collective. So everybody go to worshipgardencollective.com, sign up for the group that starts on September 10th. You don't even have to be a part of the church. If you're leading worship and you're a part of something, you just want to learn more about the process, come be involved with that. Okay? Awesome. Thank you, guys. We'll be back next week, or who knows when we'll be back with another episode. But special thanks to Harry and Brittany McCarthy for being here. And go check out worshipgardencollective.com. We'll see you later.